Hi, Flash here. So today's my next installment on my What's in My Pack series, and today I'm going to share with you my smaller ditty bags, what's in them and how I organize things, and maybe share with you some tips and tricks that'll help you on the trail. So I've got one, two, three, four, five, six small, I guess what you would call a ditty bag or a miscellaneous bag. And each one is separated by the category of items that I carry in it. So I already made a video about water and filtering water. So if you're interested in my water bag, you can take a look at that video for some more details. So in my first bag here, this is my water carry. I've got a platypus filter, I have a Canuck bag, I've got backup water purification tablets, and I keep this on the outside of my pack where it's handy, so when I'm ready to filter water, it's ready to go. So that's just on an outside pocket. It's in a gallon Ziploc bag for easy carrying, and all this stuff gets dirty and wet, so you put it in a Ziploc bag, and that keeps everything from getting wet or contaminated from any contaminated water you might have on the outside of that. So that's my water bag. Okay, so also on the outside pocket of my pack, I keep my toilet bag. So my toilet bag is simply a mesh bag like this, and I picked up this little tip from another backpacker on YouTube, and what she did was she took a piece of paracord and tied it to the toilet bag, and that way you can put that around your neck, and now all your toilet items are handy right in front of you, and you don't have to lay it on the ground, and you don't have to set it down inside the really dirty privy or outhouse. So everything's right here handy, and I love this. It's just a simple little piece of paracord. That's all it is. So inside my toilet bag, I have anything that I would need when I go into a privy or if I have to use the woods. So inside I have a little bit of toilet paper I usually keep it in a snack bag, a Ziploc plastic bag. I've got my trowel, although to be honest, I usually use a stick to dig a cat hole. There's usually plenty of pointy sticks around, and they work better than this. But I take it anyway, it weighs next to nothing. And I have duct tape wrapped around the handle so it's easier to hold, and it also stores my duct tape in case I need some duct tape for repairs. Now, here's another tip for you that I've kind of discovered on my own. A lot of the privies are dark. They have no windows. You go in there and you shut the door, and you can't even see your hand in front of your face. It's that dark. So I always keep my headlamp in my toilet bag. You get in the privy, and a lot of times you've got to use this to find your way inside the privy. So that in the middle of the night, I keep my toilet bag laying next to me as I'm sleeping, and I know my headlamp is right in there if I need it to get up in the middle of the night. So I always carry my headlamp in my toilet bag. Okay, this is something called a pocket bidet, and it fits on the top of a water bottle, and there's a little tiny hole here, and so you can use this as a squeeze bottle, squeeze water onto your nether regions to keep them clean, and maybe follow with a wipe or a toilet paper cleanup, and this thing saves a lot of toilet paper. It's also very handy just to do a quick rinse at the end of the day when you're all hot and sweaty and maybe you have some chafing going on, and this is great for that. Very little weight, good item. Also in my toilet bag, I of course have my hand sanitizer, little mini bottle of hand sanitizer, and I have a little mini tube of Vaseline, which I use frequently when I'm hot and sweaty in the summer and I start to get chafing. That's what that's for. And then strangely in here I also have my earplugs for sleeping, again because this bag is right next to me when I'm sleeping, and if I need the earplugs, it's handy and I can pull them out and stick them in. I don't normally wear earplugs unless I really, really need it. Like if, in a shelter, if somebody's snoring, yeah, you need earplugs, but I keep it in my toilet bag and then it's handy there in the middle of the night if I decide I want to use earplugs. So I know that sounds really strange, but that's the way it is. And of course, being female, I have my pee cloth. That is not in my toilet bag. That is simply strapped to the outside of my pack, and it's handy there. And then after I use it, I leave it unsnapped so it dries. Get some ultraviolet rays from the sun help dry and sanitize these things. And then every day or two, I rinse it out and put it out to dry in the sun. I've lost a couple of these doing that. Put them out to dry and then walk off and forget them. But every woman on the trail, you need one of these pee cloths that are reusable, no toilet paper. And these work great. I've had no issues or problems with them. Okay, so that is my toilet bag. Okay. Now another bag that I keep on the outside of my pack or handy is my foot bag. So this is my foot care bag, and it also has immediate first aid needs in it for when I'm hiking in the middle of the day. So what's in here? So I've got a small bottle of rubbing alcohol. If you get a cut or an abrasion and you need to put bandages on, or if you need to put on a blister bandage, you need to clean the area off with the rubbing alcohol first so that the adhesive sticks to your skin. And I also use this at the end of the day to clean my feet in between my toes, and that helps prevent new sores or blisters from forming later on. So a little tiny bottle of rubbing alcohol. Okay, also in here I've got my spare Zen toes. These are called Zen toes. I love these. So they have these at Walmart, Amazon. They're little, I don't know what they're made out of, but they're soft and like a sort of almost like a gel type thing. And you put these over your toes, and it saves me from going through blister bandages. If I get a blister on a toe or a hot spot on a toe, I put one of these on, problem solved. And I wear these things all the time. I have a couple, I call them mutant toes, and I have a couple of toes that tend to get hot spots all the time, and I know where those spots are located, and I always wear these all the time, every day. Zen toes, Z-E-N toes, and lifesaver. Love these things, and they are totally awesome. The other thing that's in my foot bag is, of course, blister bandages for my feet, and then also a selection of other band-aids that I might need if I get a cut or a scrape. And then the other thing I did was I took a couple of wet wipes and I laid them out to dry. So these are dried out wet wipes. Put them in a snack size Ziploc bag, and then if I need more than just the rubbing alcohol, I can use one of these, or I can use water and use that to clean a cut, a bruise, a scrape, a blister, whatever. And then I also have a needle in here if I need to pop a big blister if it's causing me a lot of pain. Okay, so that's in my foot bag. Okay, so basic first aid. I've got a little foil packet of antibiotic ointment and rubbing alcohol. So I'm all set for basic first aid and also for foot care. So frequently I get a hot spot, or have an issue where I have to stop and bandage or clean something, and then this is handy either in the top of my pack or in a side pocket. Okay. Okay, so my electronics bag. I have a separate video on my electronics, but just to show you what I keep in here all the time, this is a waterproof Hilltop Packs bag. Love this company. They make great small bags in many, many sizes and colors, and can't say enough good things about Hilltop Packs. The only thing I need to warn you about, though, is if you do order from them, it's a small mom and pop company in Western Pennsylvania. They make everything to order. They don't stock a lot of stuff. So if you order something from them, they ship through the US Postal Service, and then it usually takes about 2 weeks to get your item. So you can't order something like last minute. So if you want Hilltop packs, you got to plan ahead, give yourself at least 2 weeks to get that shipped to you. And their stuff's great. I just love everything about Hilltop packs. So I've got all my electronics stuff in here that I described in my electronics video. But in addition to that, I have a small waterproof notebook and a pen. And I keep that in my electronics bag because at night, before I go to bed, I make notes about my hike that day. And while I'm charging my devices, so it's all in the same bag. So I get my charging brick out and I get my little notebook out, and it's all packaged together. The other thing I keep in here, just so I know where it is, because I've lost it a couple times, is my repair kit. Again, a little Ziploc bag, a little sandwich bag. Weighs next to nothing. There's very little in here. So I've got, what do I have in here? I have tenacious tape. I've got couple little zip ties. I've got some safety pins. I've got a piece of a Velcro strap. I've got a replacement tip for my hydro flask, my water bottle, and a single-edged razor blade, and my repair kit for my sleeping mat. If I get a hole in my sleeping mat, I can repair that. So all the little odds and ends that I need for doing repairs. Super lightweight. Don't need a lot of that, but when you need it, right? So that goes in my electronics bag. I used to put it in the bottom of my backpack, and then when I needed it, I couldn't find it because it was swimming around in the bottom. So it's so small and lightweight, I just put it in my electronics bag, and then I know exactly where it is if I need it. And this is red, so in the middle of the trail, if I have to do a repair, I can find this easily in my pack and pull it out. Okay, so that's my electronics and miscellaneous ditty bag. All right. Hygiene. This is my hygiene bag. I only use this at camp or in a hostel or a hotel. So what's in my hygiene bag? Different colors so I can find it easily. So I am not an ultralighter. I like to go lightweight, but I still like to take some nice things along with me. So I guess what you might consider a luxury item. I don't know. So what's in my hygiene bag here? Okay, let's empty this out and I'll go through it. So this isn't just hygiene, this is also medical. So I've got a little bag here, another snack bag, and in that I've got a couple of tablets of antidiarrheals. I've got some Advil PM. I have a bunch of corticosteroid tablets because I am very allergic to poison ivy, and the only thing that settles that rash down is if I take corticosteroid tablets, and I have a prescription for that. So these are prescription corticosteroids. So that's kind of like oral medication there. I also have a separate bag in my fanny pack that has Advil and Benadryl. So same thing, poison ivy, I need Benadryl in the worst way. If I get a poison ivy rash, my face swells up and my eyes swell shut. It's bad. So I really have to be careful about the poison ivy. Okay, this is biodegradable soap. And I got this tip off of another YouTuber. You take a bottle, a really small bottle of eye drops, and when you're finished with them, you put the biodegradable soap in this, and then it will dispense just a drop or two of this soap. And this soap is pretty concentrated. You don't need much. So if I want to wash up, I just use a couple drops of this on a wet washcloth and I can clean myself off, rinse in a stream. You can also use the soap if you get your cooking pot dirty. You can use that to clean up your cooking pot. So soap, biodegradable camp soap in a little mini eyedropper. Weighs next to nothing here, very lightweight. Okay, I have wet wipes. Use 1 or 2 of these every single night to clean up. In the summertime, when you sweat a lot and you're sweating salts, and that salt dries on your skin, and then the next day when you get up and start walking, it's abrasive and you start to get chafing. And then some of that chafing can be really bad, especially in the area between your legs. I know men have more trouble with chafing than women, but if you keep that area nice and clean and dry at camp at night, you're going to have less problems with chafing the next day. I also have that little tube of Vaseline. Some people use Body Glide, so you want to coat the area that tends to get chafed, and that will save you a whole lot of grief. So important to keep clean in the chafing areas. I can't help it, but I do take a little bit of deodorant. I clean my pits, put a little deodorant on. Yes, I smell, but not nearly as bad as some people. And I know a lot of people don't bother with deodorant on the trail. I do. And who was it? There's a YouTuber called Chris at Coney, and I think it was him, and he said that there's no need to smell that bad on the trail. I kind of agree with that. Okay, I have a comb and brush thing. It's on a hinge. So you've got comb and brush, and it's super lightweight. Got that on Amazon. Use it all the time. I've got my toothbrush, a little travel toothbrush, my toothpaste, and my dental floss. And this goes in my food. Actually, the whole hygiene bag goes in my food bag at night, and then that gets hung or put in a bear box. So when you hang your food, you need to hang everything that has odor. So my hygiene kit goes in my food bag, and then the next morning, there's my toothbrush and my toothpaste in my food bag. So I can eat my breakfast, brush my teeth, do any cleaning up I need to do right out of the food bag, and then off I go. So there's my tooth care. I do have a disposable razor. I only use this when I have a hostel or a hotel in a shower, but at least I have it there once in a while. And then I've got, I bought a microfiber towel off of Amazon, and I cut it down, and then I sewed the raw edge. So this is a washcloth. And then I also did the same thing with the bigger one. And then this is a towel that I use to dry off. Okay, so this is my towel. Dry off with that. Okay, and then all that stuff goes in my hygiene bag. So that's my hygiene bag and how I handle cleanliness on the trail. Okay, last thing that I have here is a zipper pouch. Actually, I have two things left. I have a zipper pouch and I have my fanny pack. So the zipper pouch is on the shoulder strap, and it's waterproof. So it's got a zippered opening, and then it's got a little mesh pocket on the outside. I put my satellite communicator device in the zippered pouch, and I think this is waterproof, but I put it in here anyway. I also don't like the thing hanging on my shoulder because it kind of bounces around a little bit. So I keep it in the zippered pouch. I know where it is, and I know it's not going to bounce around and cause me any grief. And I also have, again, Hilltop Packs. Okay, little their smallest zipper pouch, super lightweight, and this is my wallet. And depending on where I am, this is either tucked deep in my backpack, or if I know I'm going into a town or a hostel and I'm going to need access to my wallet for whatever reason, that goes in my shoulder pouch with my satellite communicator. The zipper pouch on the outside I usually stuff a protein bar in there, and I also have my little piece of paracord, and this gets wrapped around a tree when I get to camp, and it's got a little anchor on a little S-shaped hook on it. And then I hang my pack on the tree so I don't have to set my pack down if it's muddy and wet. So that goes right on the outside of that zipper pouch. And I got this from Hilltop Packs as well. Okay, finally, the last small item to carry little things and how it's organized. This is my light AF fanny pack or waist pack. Very lightweight, waterproof, super durable. If you're undecided about a waist pack or a fanny pack, check out Light AF, Liteaf. It's another small outfit, makes their own things, and great company, great product. I love this fanny pack, and it's been through hell, and it's like new. So it's got a mesh pocket on the front that I can stash stuff in there if I want. And then on the inside, this zipper has been zipped and unzipped thousands of times, and it works like new, like no problem at all. So what do I keep in here? Well, this is normally not in there. This is my whistle. I keep that around my neck, and I started wearing one of these when I started running into people on the trail that had dogs off leash. And so this is like an emergency whistle, and it is super high pitched and super annoying. And if you blow this at anything, it scares the bejesus out of them. So this is just for emergencies and for when I'm feeling threatened by somebody or something. This is my whistle. So I just wear that around my neck. And it's got this strap, glows in the dark, so it's easy to see. Okay. Also in my fanny pack, I've got my little Swiss Army knife on a carabiner. I put the carabiner on it because I was losing it. I couldn't find it. So the carabiner makes it easy to find, and if I want, I can also strap that on my whistle with the carabiner. And I have done that from time to time. I've had just latched my knife onto there. So this is a tiny little thing, super lightweight, and again, this has been indispensable. It's got a small knife on one end, and it's got a file, and it also has a little screwdriver tip that you can use to pry things with. And then on the other side, and this is the part I've used the most, be careful, this is super sharp. The other thing that I've used the most is, so this is the thing I've used the most, and that's the scissors. I've used these scissors many times, and especially to cut leukotape or to cut bandaging for my feet. So the little scissors are awesome. Oh, and yeah, to cut packaging and things like that too. So it's got a little toothpick on one end and tweezers, little tiny mini tweezers. So for all the features this thing has, it's remarkably handy, and like it weighs next to nothing. So this is the Victorinox. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm sure if you look on Amazon you can find it because that's where I got it. Okay, the other thing I have in here is my chapstick, and this is 30 SPF for sun, and I've got my nail clippers in here. These were in my hygiene bag, and I discovered that most of the time when I'm ripping a nail, it's when I'm out hiking, and then I can't get to it because it's inside my backpack. So I started carrying this in my fanny pack because that's when I usually need it to trim a ripped nail. I carry my eyeglass cleaner. I wear glasses all the time and they get really dirty, and I use this to clean the lenses. And you don't want to use toilet paper because toilet paper is disposable. You want to use things that you can keep reusing over and over again. And then I also keep a little tiny Ziploc bag with my ibuprofen and Benadryl. That's in there as well. Okay. In addition to those things that are always in there, I have my phone, and I have a bag of snacks and sometimes a protein bar. So this thing holds all that. It holds my snacks and all these little odds and ends, and I know where the stuff is, and it just makes it highly organized and easy on the trail. So those are all of my miscellaneous bags, and so I hope that helped. Happy trails.